What's up, everybody? This is Twitch the Retro Gamer Ranting, and I haven't done a rant in a while, and it kind of defeats the purpose of calling yourself the Retro Gamer Ranting when there is zero, zilch, no ranting going on, and my squeaky chair is going on in the background, so just ignore that. Anyway, and I have a subject that's been on a lot of people's minds right now. It's called DLC. If you don't know what DLC is, it's downloadable content. Why am I explaining this to you? Well, you wouldn't even be watching this if it wasn't for the fact that I had DLC in the title. There was a whole Mass Effect thing that happened where everyone just lost their freaking mind because, oh look, this content that they're going to make us pay extra money for is already on the disc, is already stuff they had done before the game was released, so we shouldn't have to pay it. So it really felt like that Mass Effect 3 developers basically going, oh well, we'll just take this little tidbit out of the game and charge them for it later. Upon that, around the same time, Street Fighter cross Tekken, Street Fighter X Tekken, Tekken crosses the wrong road with the Tekken X Street whatever by Capcom, who is a huge DLC abuser, by the way, and I have mentioned this once before in another DLC rant that I sadly took down out of frustration because it was called DLC or not to DLC, and I talked briefly about a Square Enix game called Just Cause 2, which is an excellent game. I had less than 15 seconds of footage of me playing the game, and they decided to slap me with a copyright infringement so they could put commercials on my video. So I said, screw you, Square Enix, I'm taking the video down. Well, I wish I didn't, because it was one of my favorite rants, and so here I am again doing DLC. Anyway, back to that. So if you watch the Angry Joe show, which is an excellent, I love the guy, he does some great shows, he's already done a rant about this, so I'm not going to go into a huge rant about it, but basically people who bought Street Fighter X Tekken, Cross Tekken, whatever, who looked on the disc realized that all these exclusive characters that Sony owners got, either the Vita or PS3, was already on the disc, plus more on the Xbox 360 version. And basically, these characters were already on the disc to be unlocked later with your credit card. Of course, Capcom. So that just completely blew everyone's mind, where it's not downloadable content if it's something that's already on the disc. If it's something that's already in the game, you've already paid your $50, you've already paid your $60, you've already paid your $150 for your special uber super duper edition with the action figure smiley face. Why in the heck are we paying for content that's already there, just locked? Disc lock content instead of downloadable content. So yes, that was kind of pissing a few people off. One person in particular was, of course, Angry Joe. So between the whole Mass Effect thing and the Street Fighter X Tekken thing, I've really been starting to get pissed off over the whole aspect of what developers think they can get away with, especially developers that know that their game is going to be a big hit. Mass Effect 3. And developers in general who have a huge fan base. Capcom! Now, I'm really conflicted right now. Do I want to be like Angry Joe and be okay with paying for downloadable content as long as it's good downloadable content, it's supporting the game, and it's worthwhile, and everything like that? Or do I want to be like Dodger from Press Hard to Continue, who claims on some of her vlogs that she's never, ever bought downloadable content, which good for her if that's the sense. Part of me's like, yeah, I hate downloadable content so much they think we're stupid, I'm not ever going to do it. Another part of me's like, well, I've bought downloadable content before. I have fallen into that trap before. For instance, Saints Row the Third. There is a metric ton of DLC for that. I haven't bought any of it except for the mission packs. In fact, I fell into the trap of getting the season pass for it. So I got Professor Genki's Super Fun Time Whatever Extravaganza, Gangsters in Space, which I just played through in literally 2 hours. And then there's a third one that is eventually going to come out that I'll get automatically. But among that, there's tons of other DLC. One of them, which pisses me off the most, was a DLC that came out day one for it. The DLC for Saints Row 3 was a God mode cheat code. That's right, a cheat code. You can now pay for your cheat codes, folks. Something that I guarantee is already in the game. You know why God mode is in video games? Because developers have to use it while they're developing the game to get to areas easier, so they don't have to worry when they're testing out areas about getting killed all the time. So you can't tell me that that was not in the game. God mode. Now here's another kicker about it with Saints Row the Third. You can literally level up your character in the game, and quite easily, may I add, to the point where he virtually is in God mode. He won't take fall damage, he won't take bullet damage, fire damage, he won't ragdoll, and pretty much the only thing that can kill you is if someone comes up to you and punches you in the face, or if a vehicle you're in explodes. That's about it. So physical damage and being in a vehicle that explodes, like if you run a plane into a building. But you're virtually in God mode anyway, so it's something that's already a mechanic in the game, not as a cheat, I'm telling you, a mechanic in the game where you can literally level your character up, unlimited ammo, can't take any damage whatsoever, practically, virtually, and they're already trying from day one to sell you a God mode cheat. That, by the way, if you do use cheat mode, any kind of cheat code in this game, it will automatically disable achievements. So if you did buy that cheat, then chances are, if you use it, you won't be able to get any achievements. But what surprises me is the fact that they're trying to sell it to people when it's an aspect of their game already. That just blows my mind, and I like Saints Row the Third. I do. I think it's a great game. But when literally you look at all the stupid DLC for costumes and guns and vehicles and extra stuff that you really think should already be a part of the game as it is, and it just boggles the mind. And that's just one game example. So I'm getting away from the point here. I'm getting away from the aspect of developers taking advantage of us and what we need to do to combat that. Just stop buying DLC altogether. Then there's other people who would say, well, don't even buy the game itself if developers are gonna misuse it. Just like everyone who got on the whole bandwagon of don't buy Mass Effect 3. Then there's the whole idea of punish the developers when they're being bad and reward them when they're being good. Good example of this is Valve and Gearbox when they give you free DLC, like they did with Portal 2 with whole new missions for free, and what they do constantly with a lot of their games. Now, that's the best kind of DLC. They'll say it's free DLC. And I've mentioned this before, there are other ways around this to try and get in the good graces of people. Instead of just making DLC and throwing it out there, maybe make some demo DLC. Maybe allow it so people can actually download a brief portion of DLC or a time-restricted portion of DLC to see if they like it. And then after that's done with, ask if they want to buy it. This would go great for map packs for the whole Call of Duty series. Instead of having to buy maybe 3-4 maps at a pop, or maybe one of these maps you're going to enjoy, you can download one map at a time. Or try a map out for the weekend, or for a day. See if you like it. And if you don't like it, well then, good. Try another map out, see if you like that one. Like that one? Good. Pay $2.50 for it or something, or $3. Don't charge us friggin' $30 for 5 maps that maybe we're not even gonna like. That goes with everything. Back to Saints Row the Third, the mission packs that I got. They were short as all heck. There was literally 3 missions in Gangsters in Space. And they were pretty lengthy, yes, and they were pretty entertaining as well, but it was over before I could snap my fingers. Now I look back in the past, and I look at a series called Half-Life. You might have heard of it. It pretty much revolutionized the first-person shooter genres in a good way, not like in a bad way, like the Call of Duty series. And they actually had, not necessarily downloadable content, but expansion packs back in the day. That's what they called it, expansion packs. One of these said expansion packs, well, there was 2. There was Blue Shift and there was Opposing Force. 2 games I've actually been playing a lot more of lately, just to go back to my roots and play a really great first-person shooter. And I will tell you, if you have never played the original Half-Life, if you have never played Opposing Force or Blue Shift, go on Steam, buy them now, they're cheap as heck, spend your weekend playing all of them through. Just do it. It is an enjoyable first-person shooter experience. For God's sakes, you'll never look at any of the new first-person shooters that are out today the same again, because you'll realize we've downgraded in some respects. But anyway, that's another rant completely. I look at a game like Opposing Force, which is an expansion pack, which is an entirely new experience, which is basically the equivalent of the mission packs, DLCs you're getting for all your games today. It is as long as a normal run game. 6, 7, 8 hours maybe, depending on how you play. It has quality content. It has new weapons. Talking about opposing force here. New enemies, new locations, another side of a story that you might have already played. Wonderfully written, great action, great puzzles, all in one expansion pack. We look at that now, and I'll go back to Saints Row the Third. You get a mission, you get no new vehicles, for the most part. The vehicles you do get are pretty much reskins of vehicles you already have, so it's no big deal. You get no new enemies, because pretty much all the enemies are reskins of the old enemies, and you get 2 hours worth of gameplay. Now, I'm saying that these expansion packs were about the same price as what these things are today. You'd go to the store, you'd get it, it would be worth every penny of it. And that gives so much more value than anything that DLC is giving you these days. You want to see how to do the proper kind of DLC for your games. Go back to the past. Look at some of the expansion packs that came out for the old school days. Even back as far as Duke Nukem 3D. There were some really great third-party expansion packs for that game. Like Duke It Out in DC is one of them. Very enjoyable. It didn't necessarily give more weapons and new bad guys, but it gave you more locations and it did it right, and it was fun. So if you want to see how an expansion pack is supposed to be done, then go back, look at Half-Life, look at Opposing Force, look at Blue Shift, which was another excellent one. Maybe not quite on par with Opposing Force, but still an excellent expansion to the Half-Life universe, and see how it was done. Valve has been doing this for years. That's why they're so successful with Steam. That's why they're single-handedly revolutionizing the gaming world, and no one's giving them credit for it. They give away free DLC. They know that quality is above all most important versus quantity, which is what all these other developers seem to just be tossing out in the shovels full, where they release a game and just throw out an ass load of DLC of the minute kind of the, oh look, it's only 99 cents. Oh look, it's only $1.99. You can spring for that. You can spring for that gun that probably should have been in the game in the first place, but you could just pay us an extra $2 for it. Why not? A developer spent a whole 2 minutes taking it out of the game just so we can get the $2 for it. So go ahead, just take out your credit card. Oh look, it's not even $2, it's only $1.99. Oh jeez, look at it, you're saving a penny. It's not even $2. Good lord. And then of course the developers going even farther and having all this content in their game in the first place, and then just saying, here, give us your credit card number and we'll unlock it for you. That's what's going on. And I'd have to say, we're kind of creating this beast. We've let them get away with it this long. We have allowed them to oh so gradually get away with practically murder. First off, it was just little things like aesthetic appeal, different skins for things like your guns or your characters, mostly maybe a new costume or something like that, stuff that used to always be in the game. And then it just gets into larger things, like taking out entire missions from the game, or maybe even locking out entire areas of a game until you pay up with your credit card. And it's just going to get worse the more we allow it to happen. I'm not saying you have to completely stop buying DLC. I wish I was like Dodger and I was able to say, I'm never going to buy DLC again. But you know what? Sometimes there is quality DLC out there. Hopefully, it would be kind of like Valve and be free out there for everyone. But developers don't make money off that. A lot more developers are much more greedier than Valve is, because Valve isn't greedy. They know what the fans want. They're actually there for the fans. You think developers like EA and Activision and THQ are there listening to the fans? Are there listening to your pleas of stop being douchebags? No, they're not, until you start reacting with their pocketbooks. So, whenever a douchebag developer decides to do an antic like they've been doing lately, and they're trying to get you to spend more than you probably should, then respond. And what you feel is best. Either don't buy a game, don't buy the DLC, and even it is your right to bitch and complain about it. Don't let anyone out there on the internet tell you otherwise. Don't let them say you're being elitist. Don't let them say that you're being too picky. No, these are your games you're spending your hard-earned cash on. These are big-name developers, and they're doing what they want to trample over a gaming experience that should be enjoyable to you, not should be, oh, to proceed, please deposit an extra $5 onto your account. So that's about it for now. I don't know, I was all over the board there, the very equivalent of a rant, I would have to say. Please leave your comments down below about what DLC means to you, and what you think good DLC is versus bad DLC. Should we boycott it altogether? Should we only boycott a little? Should we only get the free DLC? Because, well, it's free anyway. And who do you think are the biggest offenders when it comes to the developers department and publishers department? So anyway, this is Twitch, the Retro Gamer Ranting. Thanks for listening, everyone. Don't forget to hit that like button, that favorite button, and subscribe if you haven't already to get more rants and more video game awesomeness. Remember, that fans the fire to keep me making these videos for you, and puts a big smile on my face as well. So thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, everyone. Till next time, game fans, this is Twitch. Keep playing.